0439 local time, Caribbean Sea. The sonar screen reacts first. A narrow trace appears without warning, sharpens into focus, then separates into 2 lines, then 3. No raised voices, no alarms. Only the soft rhythm of keys and the steady hum of the ship as everyone inside the operations center leans in at the same moment. New contacts bearing 217 beneath the thermal layer. The room changes instantly. Chairs stop rolling. A watchstander pauses mid-step. Condition 3. This is not background noise. It is not marine life. The signature is too clean, too controlled. The tracks move across the display with careful precision, slow enough to remain quiet, fast enough to matter. 3 separate returns, different ranges, same purpose. On the bridge, the captain does not raise his voice. He does not need to. Hold emissions, record everything. Below decks, the undersea tracking team narrows its focus. Passive sonar only, no active signals, no electronic footprint. The ship stays silent, choosing to listen instead of speak, letting the ocean reveal what it can. Above the surface, the sea looks calm, flat, blue, ordinary. Below, it is divided into layers. Warm water rests above colder water, forming a natural curtain where hidden vessels can blend into the depth. And something is there now. Contact 1 steady at 5 knots. Contact 2 matching speed. Contact 3 adjusting depth. The spacing is not random. It forms a pattern, a triangle wide at first, then slowly tightening. Whoever is below understands patience. They know how to move without giving too much away. Minutes pass, the ship holds its course. No sudden turns, no increase in speed. From the outside, it would look like a routine transit through open water. But beneath the surface, every movement is being measured. Closest point of approach decreasing. The words settle heavily across the room. CPA is not a warning by itself. It is math. Distance against time. Margin against mistake. In the operations center, the range rings shrink by fractions. 1/10 of a mile, then another. The contacts do not rush, they do not scatter, they glide. Each one stays in its lane, making tiny adjustments to keep the shape intact. This is not curiosity, this is positioning. A sonar technician marks the track history, his fingers steady even as the tension builds behind his eyes. The trails on the screen tell their own story. Small course corrections, depth changes timed with the ship's propeller noise, careful movement around the edges of detection. Someone below is testing the boundaries, searching for blind spots. Recommend helo on standby. Negative, the captain answers at once. Not yet. Moving too soon would change everything. It would confirm awareness. It could turn a quiet shadowing into something far more dangerous. For now, silence is the advantage. Another update rolls across the display. The acoustic library completes another comparison cycle. Matches pending, confidence increasing. No names, no flags, just data. Frequencies, blade rates, cavitation patterns buried deep under the thermal layer. The ocean may distort sound, but it does not invent it. And the machines listening to it are trained to notice the difference. The triangle tightens again. Contact 2 rises slightly, contact 3 slows, then matches speed. The lead contact holds steady, guiding the formation forward. It is disciplined, coordinated, practiced. The kind of movement rehearsed far from witnesses in deep water where only sensors remember what happened. On the bridge, the surface picture remains empty. No wakes, no radar returns, nothing visible to explain why 3 unseen hulls are closing beneath the ship. CPA now under 3 miles. That changes the room. At that distance, there is little room for misunderstanding. 1 wrong adjustment below, 1 misread movement above, and 2 pieces of steel could meet in a place where no one can see the moment coming. Still, the ship does not flinch. Speed steady. Course unchanged. The log fills line by line with numbers, bearings, depths, and timestamps. Every entry is quiet proof that the crew sees the pattern and refuses to be rushed by it. Then contact 1 shifts. Not much. Just a subtle rise, only a few meters. But it sharpens the return, cutting through the thermal haze for a few seconds longer than before. Inside the operations center, heads turn. That was intentional. The room goes still again. Whatever is down there has just moved closer to the edge of being seen. Not enough to announce itself. Not enough to force a response. Just enough to make sure it is noticed. The captain exhales once, slow and controlled. All stations maintain. We are being watched. No one questions it. No one asks by whom. The answer is forming on the screens, 1 line at a time, 1 frequency at a time. 3 contacts, tight formation, closing geometry. No heavy signatures, no wasted movement. Only speed, discipline, and intent. And the ship holds her course. No sudden burst of speed, no turn to shake the shadow beneath them. Ahead, the Caribbean remains a smooth sheet of blue, showing no sign of what is happening below. Under the thermal layer, the three contacts settle into a steady rhythm. Each one makes small, disciplined adjustments, the kind only a trained operator would recognize as coordinated. Contact 1 holds 5 knots. Contact 2 matches. Contact 3 maintains depth. The pattern is calm, controlled, too controlled. Inside the Combat Information Center, the plotting table fills with marked positions and precise timestamps. The bearings draw inward slowly, degree by degree, never in obvious jumps. Whoever is below is not rushing the approach. They are shaping it, reducing distance carefully, letting patience and the ocean do most of the work. Passive sonar remains the priority. No active pulses, no unnecessary signals. The ship listens, collects, and records. A junior watchstander looks up from the display. They're pacing us. He is right. The contacts are not following directly behind, and they are not cutting sharply across the bow. They are moving along parallel lanes, closing from angled positions that quietly reduce the ship's options without fully committing to a single path. It is a containment pattern, subtle and deliberate, guiding the surface ship toward deeper water where every choice carries more uncertainty. On the bridge, the officer of the deck scans the horizon through polarized glass. Nothing disturbs the surface. No wakes, no sudden movement, no sign that anything unusual is nearby. To anyone outside, the ship appears alone. Inside the hull, the tension grows heavier. CPA down to 2.7. Now the numbers matter more than ever. Every decimal feels like a decision waiting to happen. The captain studies the repeater display, shifting his gaze between the surface picture and the subsurface feed coming up from the operations center. Keep her steady. Don't give them anything. The triangle tightens again. Contact 2 drops slightly deeper, slipping into colder water to soften its machinery signature. Contact 3 rises just enough to keep the overlap intact. The movement is subtle, almost elegant. 3 separate vessels behaving like one coordinated system. The acoustic processor flags the pattern. The software is only confirming what the watch team already senses. This is trained movement, not a random patrol, not chance. The geometry is intentional. A fresh line of data scrolls across the screen as the acoustic library narrows its comparison. Blade counts align. Harmonics stack into place. The margin of error begins to shrink. Nationality confidence increasing. No announcement follows. No one needs one yet. At this moment, the ship is not focused on who they are. It is focused on what they are doing and how close they are willing to come. The sea stays quiet. Above, sunlight glints across antennas and painted steel. Below, the warm water curtain still separates the watchers from the watched. Until it does not. Contact 1 makes another small correction. A lateral shift measured in meters, not miles. The kind of move designed to test whether the ship will react. Nothing changes topside. No alarm, no course adjustment, no visible response. The ship refuses to acknowledge the probe, and that silence says more than any signal could. CPA now 2.4. The number hangs over the room. At this range, timelines compress. Options narrow. An underwater contact does not need to show clear intent to create danger. Distance alone becomes a risk, especially when 3 hulls are sharing the same piece of ocean. In the operations center, the supervisor leans closer to the display. If they tighten any further, we're inside the comfort zone. But comfort zones at sea are fragile things. There is only control, and the moment control begins to slip, the captain's voice comes down from the bridge, calm and exact. Stand by for maneuvering orders. Not yet. He is buying time, letting the picture become clearer, letting the other side decide whether this remains pressure or turns into something more. Another update arrives. Contact 3 slows by half a knot, then matches speed again. The triangle reshapes, pulling its forward point closer, closing space without crossing the invisible line. It is restraint with an edge. Then the acoustic library delivers a near-final result. The confidence bar climbs another step. Signature aligns with Venezuelan profiles. Still, nothing changes on the surface. No visible reaction, no signal flags, no public declaration. Identification matters for the record, but in this moment, it changes nothing. The orders remain simple. Maintain course, maintain discipline, record everything. The ocean has no interest in borders or intent. It only understands mass, movement, and distance. And right now, all 3 are closing together. CPA now 2.1. A heavy silence follows the call. It is the kind of silence that fills a room when everyone understands what may come next, even if no one says it directly. Below the thermal layer, the triangle keeps tightening. Slow, patient, precise. Above it, a U.S. Navy warship continues forward as though nothing unusual is happening. And that, more than anything, makes the water beneath her feel suddenly still. Then, the ocean seems to blink. For a fraction of a second, the sonar picture changes. Not slowly, not subtly. One of the contacts sharpens, its outline flaring against the background noise. The thin, passive traces that had barely whispered across the display suddenly become clean and unmistakable. Active energy. Inside the Combat Information Center, no one speaks. They do not need to. Contact 1 just went active. That single sentence changes the entire situation. Active sonar is not a crossing of the final line, but it is a statement. It trades concealment for certainty. It gives up anonymity in exchange for a clearer picture. And in doing so, it reveals far more than it gains. The ship does not react outwardly. Within milliseconds, systems reprioritize. Filters shift. Recorders lock on. What had been scattered fragments now snaps into a complete acoustic fingerprint. Frequency bands, pulse intervals, power curves, a signature that can be stored, studied, and recognized again anywhere in the world. The submarine below has just stepped into the light. Confidence now high, the acoustic supervisor says quietly. We have him. The triangle begins to lose its shape. Contact 2 breaks pattern first, changing depth in a rushed correction. Contact 3 hesitates, then tries to compensate. Its propeller noise rises for a brief moment as it works to restore spacing. The formation that had been carefully built over hours begins to come apart in seconds. Underwater, mistakes rarely stay alone. They multiply. On the bridge, the captain does not look surprised. He has been waiting for the moment when patience would outlast discipline. Launch the helo. The order is calm, almost routine. On deck, the ship comes alive. Tie-downs release. Rotors begin to turn. The helicopter lifts smoothly into the Caribbean air, rising without drama, without warning, without any unnecessary display. Below, the sonar picture fills with new information. Active returns bloom across the screen as the submarine's own signal reflects off the ship, the seafloor, and most importantly, its companions. The ocean answers with echoes that cannot be taken back. Multiple returns confirmed, all 3 contacts exposed. The mistake is not only the signal itself, it is everything that comes after it. Contact 1 tries to go quiet again, returning to passive silence, but the moment has already passed. The acoustic trail is now complete, built from hours of patient listening and a few revealing seconds of active emission. Contact 2 increases speed, giving up quiet movement in an effort to open distance. Contact 3 turns sharply, changing depth fast enough to create a noticeable spike in its acoustic profile. 3 submarines, 3 reactions, 1 result, tracked. The helicopter reaches its station overhead, its sensors already aligned with the picture from the ship. Sonobuoys enter the water in a clean, efficient pattern. No rush, no wasted movement. Each splash adds another thread to the net forming around the exposed contacts below. The ship remains steady, her course unchanged. She does not chase, she does not provoke. She simply holds position while the picture tightens. Contact 2 now maneuvering evasively. But evasion without surprise is just movement, and movement makes sound. The acoustic library updates in real time, refining each profile and removing uncertainty piece by piece. Blade counts, shaft rates, transient noises, every detail logged, time-stamped, and preserved. This is no longer only about the present encounter, it is about the next one and the one after that, every time these same sounds return from beneath the sea. Below the thermal layer, the triangle is gone. Now there is only separation. Contact 2 peels away first, its speed climbing beyond anything that could be mistaken for routine movement. Contact 3 follows, abandoning its lane and breaking formation completely. Contact 1 lingers for a moment, caught between pride and caution. That pause costs him. CPA increasing, the watchstander reports. All contacts turning away. The captain nods once. He does not smile. There is nothing to celebrate here. This is not victory. It is control. The helicopter drops lower, sensors sweeping and recording. The message is clear, even without a single word spoken. You have been seen. You have been identified. And this part of the ocean is no longer yours to hide in. Minutes pass. The water begins to settle. One by one, the contacts stretch the distance, slipping back into deeper and quieter layers, where the sea can once again soften their noise. But they leave something behind. Data that cannot be erased. Signatures that cannot be forgotten. The ship recovers her helicopter and resumes the watch, moving on as if nothing extraordinary has happened. The surface remains calm. The horizon stays empty. Below, that brief flare of sound remains on the screens and in memory, the single moment that ended the encounter without open confrontation. 3 submarines arrived in silence. One moment of impatience ends the entire encounter. The ship never opens fire. No weapons are released, no deck systems swing into action, no warning signals cut across the sky. From above, it looks as if nothing has changed at all, but below the surface, control has shifted completely. The helicopter holds position overhead, steady and unhurried, its sensors sweeping wide arcs across the water. Sonobuoys drift in quiet formation, listening, relaying, and tightening the picture with every passing second. Each return feeds back into the Combat Information Center, where the once uncertain subsurface display now looks organized, almost calm. 3 contacts, all tracked, all classified, all understood. Contact 2 is opening distance, speed increasing. Contact 3 is turning south-southwest. Contact 1 is holding briefly, then beginning to drift. They are no longer shaping the situation. They are reacting to it. On the bridge, the captain watches the data move across the display without comment. This is exactly the posture he wanted. No pursuit, no unnecessary pressure, only presence, steady enough and clear enough that every movement below now works against those making it. The ship maintains course and speed, becoming the one fixed point in an ocean that suddenly feels much smaller for the vessels underneath. The helicopter slides lower, its shadow brushing the water for a moment. Cameras record, sensors log. The imagery is clear enough to remove doubt, but distant enough to avoid provocation. This is not intimidation. It is documentation. Contact 1 hesitates again. For a brief moment, it seemed the submarine might test the boundary one last time, lingering just long enough to save face or gather something useful. The acoustic picture tightens. Operators lean closer, ready for another shift. But it never comes. Instead, the contact begins a slow withdrawal, easing deeper, quieter, and leaving behind the last shape of the formation that brought it there. The other 2 are already pulling away, their signatures fading as distance grows, CPA increasing across the board. The words only confirm what everyone already understands. The encounter is ending, but control remains exactly where it is. The helicopter does not leave right away. It stays long enough to make the separation clear. Long enough for there to be no confusion about why the moment ended the way it did. Then it climbs smoothly and turns back toward the ship. Mission complete. Below decks, the mood does not shift into celebration. It becomes methodical, focused, professional. Data is checked, rechecked, tagged, and stored. Timestamps are aligned. Acoustic signatures are cross-referenced. Every second of sound, every brief pulse of energy, every small change in movement is preserved. This is the part no one sees. The ship never needed to raise her voice. She never needed to prove strength through force. The outcome was decided the moment discipline outlasted impatience. On the surface, the sea remains bright and smooth. Merchant traffic moves far in the distance, unaware of how close 3 hidden hulls came to changing the entire day. Seabirds circle lazily overhead. The horizon offers nothing dramatic, nothing that would make anyone look twice. That is the point. Secure ASW stations. Maintain watch. The captain's order is quiet, almost anticlimactic. The crew responds with the same precision they have shown from the beginning. Systems step down gradually. Displays return to their normal rhythm. Voices remain low, but nothing is forgotten. The signatures collected here will travel far beyond this stretch of water. They will be studied, shared, and integrated. The next time those sounds appear anywhere at any depth, they will be recognized immediately. Control without confrontation. Dominance without destruction. The 3 submarines withdraw into the deep, still intact, but no longer unknown. They carry with them a lesson written in silence. The ocean is not neutral when discipline meets error. The ship continues on her original heading. Wake unbroken, posture unchanged, no shots fired, no harm taken, control maintained. She never changes course as the last acoustic traces fade back into background noise. The surface picture remains clean and uneventful. To anyone passing miles away, she is just another gray hull moving steadily through blue water. Another routine transit, logged, remembered, and never truly forgotten. On board, nothing feels routine. Inside the Combat Information Center, the watch continues as if the contacts could return at any second. Sonar operators keep their headsets on. The plots remain active. The sea has gone quiet, but quiet does not mean empty. It only means listening matters more. Contacts lost, not dropped, the supervisor reminds the team. The difference matters. Lost means they have moved beyond reliable detection. Dropped means the crew failed to hold the picture. No one in that room accepts the second option. The tracks are archived with exact care. Every point is tied to time, depth, and bearing. The acoustic fingerprints captured during those critical minutes are no longer temporary traces on a screen. They are permanent records now, clear enough to be reviewed, detailed enough to shape the next encounter. This is the part that never reaches the public. There is no dramatic announcement, no statement waiting for cameras, no official language designed to sound larger than the moment. The ship's log receives only a clean, clinical entry. 3 submerged contacts approached, 1 active signal detected. All contacts withdrew. That is all the record needs to say. But beneath the thermal layer, something far more important happened. 3 hidden vessels entered with every advantage: silence, patience, positioning, and the cover of the ocean itself. They left without the one advantage they valued most. They were no longer unknown. The sea did not protect them. Discipline on one side met impatience on the other, and discipline held. On the bridge, the captain reviews the final plots one last time. He does not stare at them for long. There is nothing left to decide. The rules were followed. The picture is clear. Resume standard operations. The order moves through the ship without ceremony. The helicopter is secured. Sonobuoy channels are closed. The ship returns to her normal posture. Sensors remain alert. Systems remain ready, but the focus is no longer fixed on one point beneath the hull. The Caribbean sun rises higher. Light scatters across the water in bright, shifting lines. Somewhere below, the three submarines continue on, deeper now, quieter now, carrying the memory of being seen at the exact moment they believed they were still hidden. They did not lose a hull. They did not leave the area with visible harm, but they lost something harder to replace: anonymity. From this moment forward, those acoustic signatures are known. The next time they appear in the data, whether in these waters or far across the world, they will not arrive as mysteries. They will appear as familiar shapes in a library built through patience, discipline, and precision. That is the true outcome of the encounter. No dramatic display on the surface, no chaos in the sky, no open confrontation, just information collected at the exact moment it mattered most. This is how control works in the modern undersea world. Not through noise, not through panic, but through restraint strong enough to make the other side reveal itself. By staying quiet long enough, the ship allowed one signal to tell the entire story. She continues her transit, wake stretching behind her in a thin white line. The ocean closes over the place where three submarines once converged, leaving no mark, no ripple, no visible memory on the surface. Only one question remains, unspoken but impossible to ignore. If that single signal had come a few seconds earlier, if impatience had been met with a harsher response instead of discipline, would the outcome have stayed under control? Out here, beneath calm water and a quiet sky, the distance between pressure and crisis can be measured in seconds. Today, that distance held.